Welcome. For those of you who would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please do so now.
What is allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. We're live, we're ready, perfect. Welcome to a special meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees. It is 5:01 p.m., June 15th, 2026. I call this meeting to order. Melina, roll call, please.
Ms. Absent, trustee Brosh,
Here.
trustee Brown,
Here.
trustee Halverson,
Here.
trustee Wakefield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schlichter,
Here.
Mayor Harper.
Here. Perfect. I'm assuming we do not have any board revisions this evening.
It is actually resolution 2026-13 for the fire restraint. I saved something.
What I get for assuming. 2026-13.
13 instead of 12, yeah.
2026. 13. Beautiful. Now that we're all here, let's open up for public comment. For those of you in the audience this evening who would like to make a statement, please do so now. Each of you have 3 minutes. Thank you so much. And state your name.
Patrick Champelou, part of the SID. Just wrote a little statement, so it's there so I keep track of time.
Sir.
Almost 4 years ago, the town had a vision and put it in place with the Compass Master Plan. The vision was to guide the town through growth and to help create a self-sustainable economy for the town with an increased population. A big part of the master plan was to help create more housing opportunities and to ease the process. The SID is one of these opportunities. The SID legal structure is part of state law and was built specifically as a solution for these types of growth challenges in Silverton. There were questions at the last meeting regarding risk, but the SID legal process is built to specifically minimize risk, and it does this by giving the town collateral in case of default by a landowner. So talking to local realtors and contractors, it's obvious that each property, once improved, will be worth 400K plus. The debt for each property will be max of 150K, and the city would have the right to take the properties if the assessments are in default. That's a 250K profit if it comes to that. You, Mayor Harper, and Board of Trustees are the ones making decisions to carry out the vision of this town. Clay, Elizabeth, and Jeff have precise details on moving the project forward with many professionals working behind them. Please trust the professionals and take the next step today to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience this evening that would like? Perfect.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for the special meeting. If you're not aware, my name is Jeff Diener and I'm the SID landowner representative. If you read the email I sent over yesterday, I'm hoping it gives a little more clarity to the current decisions in front of you. And if you have questions, I'm hoping that you've researched or are okay with asking myself, Clay, or Elizabeth. Everything I'm sharing is deeply researched, it's fact, and these projects work. These are important decisions, of course, and in this case, it's pretty imperative that these decisions happen quickly for the project timeline. The contractor has kept this on his schedule and he's staffed up and ready to push it to completion. But he does need to start in July or early August at the latest. So there's the question of contingencies and the amounts, and that's a good one, right? The reason for a contingency, as you know, is to have extra money in case the project runs into unexpected challenges, right? Which are not part of the contractor's responsibility. Contingencies, they're definitely needed for some items and make a lot of sense. Therefore, logic says that if we have a contingency for rock excavation and for dewatering, then we're covered if we run into unexpected issues. But despite this logic, there's still a conversation about perforating the project site to make sure there's no rock. So I don't see how, I mean, more soil cores are unnecessary and redundant if we already have a project contingency for these unexpected issues. And looking at the numbers real quick, the contractor has a line item in the bid of 53,000, and that's specifically for rock excavation. And that's a big number only for rock. Talk to other contractors. The regular excavation number comes in at 277,000, and that's a fixed line item. So the contractor is taking full responsibility for that. He's looked at the work and he knows what it'll cost him. And he's saying, yes, I'm doing all of these fixed line items at my expense for this price. So anyway, the contractor's on board with this plan for amending the bid, and the attorneys just need to work on the contract language. That's basically what needs to happen. And of course, there's been talk about some bills that the town has, and if you don't already know, all these bills will be covered by the SID landowners, but the project does need to move forward. So I just want you to be assured there are many professionals putting in time, energy, and expertise. People have done this many times, and we have them all standing by with any more questions and any issues moving this forward. There's a lot at stake here, and if you've listened to anything I'm saying, you know that you can move this forward today. You have a low bid, and the budgets work. So accept this bid, have it amended, and the other outstanding items can be added to the agreement contractually. So thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Anyone else in the audience this evening who'd like to speak? Okie dokie, we're going online. We have a hand raised. Can't read the name.
Hi, is that me? Is that me? My name is Alan Bernholtz.
Okay, great.
I'm a landowner on Bluff. Thank you very much. I'm a landowner up there, and I just I don't always have the opportunity to attend the meetings, whether they're in person or virtual. So I just wanted to attend this one because I'm able to, and I just feel like I just want you to understand that I'm just looking for a fair process. I paint houses for a living. I'm just a regular old Joe that would love to have an opportunity to put a road in by the land that I bought, so I could possibly use that land at some point someday. And I just I'm not as well versed in what's going on. I get the meeting notes, and then I hear from the SID folks that are trying to make this work. And I just wanted to put a name with a voice, not a face, I guess, but with a voice that just lets you know that I'm just a real person. I'm a regular guy, and I just feel like what we've done seems very reasonable. It's really kind of maxing it out for me, but I feel like there's an opportunity for us and the town of Silverton to control the growth that may happen, instead of just trying to always stop the growth that happens, because what we've seen in other Colorado communities, when the resistance is there, then eventually what happens is they lose that control over what's going to happen in their town and their community. And I think this is a really good opportunity for the Board of Trustees to, have some vision and have some foresight to, like, this is what's happening in our world, in our state, and certainly in your town. And so I just encourage you to try to be fair and open-minded, and go through the process that seems to be set up. We're not breaking ground here. This isn't something that's new that hasn't been done before. And I don't think anyone's trying to put the town in jeopardy. By no means does anyone seem that I've spoken to on the SID side of things, do they seem like they want to take some kind of big risk or expect the town of Silverton to take a big risk. So that's all I had to say, but I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate your time on a beautiful Monday afternoon.
All right, thank you so much. I do see one additional hand up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, continue.
Hi, this is Chris. Rebecca's not here. We were actually just in town last Wednesday getting married on our property there. We wanted to do that as a sign of how committed we are to our future in Silverton. And I just wanted to continue to voice my support for us moving forward. I would like to point out that delaying this project that we've been working on for over the last 3 years in discussions that have been very thoughtful and meaningful. And we've all kind of worked through a lot of the issues we've had. A lot of our concerns have been addressed through these meetings, and we've reached a point where it's time to take this big step of getting this infrastructure built. I would like to point out that delaying this does not push off just us 10 landowners. It denies your contractors, excavators, electricians, plumbers, drywallers, painters, landscapers, so on and so forth, not to mention your restaurants, gas station, hardware store, and grocery store of customers that they want to see. Your constituents have voiced in the master plan that they want to see a year-round economy established. We're here to move in. We're ready to move in and be part of that year-round economy. I just want to point out that you guys are the town leadership. Your town wants leaders. They want you to lead. And so I hope you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I do see one additional hand. Perfect. All right, welcome. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Hey, this is Nick Sutton and my wife, Kristen Sutton, is nearby. I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said before or won't be said here tonight, but just wanted to formally throw my support for the project and look forward to a productive meeting. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Ready, seeing no other, I don't believe I see anybody else. Seeing no other hands up, we will close public comment and move on to our second agenda item, which is resolution 2026-13. Resolution establishing stage 1 multiple fire restrictions.
Yes, so happy to answer any questions that any of you all might have. The county went into stage 1 fire restrictions on June 10th last week. And they approved an updated resolution. I've made some updates to our stage 1 fire restriction resolution to mirror the county's updates, just to reduce confusion, et cetera. And just a note, a reminder that earlier this year, we aligned MOLIS fire restrictions with federal fire restrictions, and San Juan National Forest is now in stage 1. So MOLIS is in stage 1 of fire restrictions as of Friday.
Much. Anyone have any questions, comments? Lindsay? All right. Okay. Well, then we will need a motion to approve resolution 2026-13, a resolution establishing stage 1 multiple fire restrictions, municipal fire restrictions. So move. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second.
Trustee Brush?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Robertson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer?
Yes.
Mayor Harper?
Yes. Beautiful. All right, agenda item number 3. This is a special improvement district, the SID, construction bids. And I believe Clayton's going to take this, start out with.
Wait, we'll take this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Trustees. So we went and had a couple of meetings regarding the direction the board gave us the last regular meeting. We came up with a couple of courses of action, which I'll refer to as COAs. And we wanted to kind of present you succinctly with what we think the Board of Trustees has to consider here and what your 3 options are, given all the facts. I'm gonna just, if you have any questions specifically about facts for each of the options, please ask me. I'm assuming in presenting this that you have been listening throughout the many hours that we've been presented with information during these board meetings. So I'm not gonna drill down on minutia. I'm going to hit broad strokes and macro level decision-making guidance if that pleases the board. So we have what we came up with, which are our three courses of action here. COA number one would be to go forward with what's being presented by SID owners, which is negotiate with the animus contractor with their with the negotiation, removing their service line items and the contingencies on the firm fixed price. You are looking at a budget of 1.3 million with some soft costs around 125, which leaves external contingencies at around 65, not including the contingency that's in the only time and labor cost, which is that rock excavation that we've heard about many times. I did receive the proposed clause language that the SID attorney presented, which is basically that if anything goes above and beyond the amount that we have budgeted, that the SID owners will be taking on that burden, and that the contractors also agreeing that those owners are solely responsible for any payment amount due over the contract amount. And we're going to add whatever contract amount that is into that clause. And so for us, that might be the contract amount of 1.311 or whatever the presentation is. I'm just speaking again in rough numbers. I don't remember to the penny what that contract would come out to, but as I recall, is about $1.311 million. So COA number one is just that. We go back to the negotiating table with the animus contractor and take out the line items, negotiate the contract, add the clause to cover the town for any extra cost, and then move on. Does anybody have any questions about COA number one before I move on to COA number two? Would you like to hear all the COAs and then discuss them? Because I'm just going to pile through unless you ask a question.
Okay, hear them all. Okay, we're okay to hear them all.
We think
Thank you,
COA number two, we recommend. We're not recommending any one of these as one. We're just recommending these three as your choices. Is that we go back to an amendment and specify some of the things that you think might be missing in the original request for bids, and we ask the contractors to amend the bid to basically to very similar to the negotiation where we're taking out certain line items and making it such that we think we can get a new proposal under the dollar amount without having to negotiate. So it would just allow another contractor to rebid based on maybe removing contingencies for all firm fixed price items, maybe removing the service lines, including whatever you need to include. If you wanted to do soil samples, we'd have to obviously wait time or have them do that or include that somehow. So that's what we've already done once, and we think we can do that again. The other COA is just going right back out completely for a request for bids, which means we're kind of starting the process over. We could make it a short timeline so that we might get another contractor. I don't know the likelihood of that. I think that's something that town staff probably knows better, and you guys might even know better just being there. But my guess based on the participation in the previous request for bids is that it's going to be the same two, and maybe we only get one. And again, we would just be basically opening that back up to the public versus just going back to the amendment to the two contractors, Animus and Planet, that have already presented a bid or a proposal. We know there's obviously with all of these, when we move forward with this project, regardless of who we decide and how much they cost, there's always going to be some risk. But the staff and I have talked, and we tend to agree, not 100% with the same perspective, but we are covered by the value of those properties as it pertains to any assessment that goes forward with this. And as they've pointed out many times, that it is going to be roughly the $150,000 per lot. So it is fairly simple process to take one of those lots if we had to pay off any loan amount. We're also mitigated by the fact that if any of the homeowners pay an upfront lump sum versus start making minimum payments with interest, that's going to pay down our loan amount very quickly, because those bonds will get paid off quicker. And so we'll have a little bit more wiggle room as far as monthly costs go. So again, not presenting one over the other, but we wanted the board to have what we think are the three options to move forward. We did not come up with any options that did not contemplate moving forward. So if that's another discussion, we were asked to present you with, ways ahead to keep the momentum going for this project. The quickest shovel in the ground obviously would be COA number 1, and then COA number 2, and then COA number 3. So we presented them in that order. Subject to your questions, I know that's a very macro level view of this, but again, I think you all are well versed in all the minutia.
Blake, can I ask you, do we have any sense, there's an overlap here with what we're talking about right now and the discussion of the bond. Do we have any details on terms on that bond that the bank would require as a town liability versus, traditionally, from my understanding is special assessment bond, we may only be liable for foreclosure, executing that. Or if we gave any sort of guarantee to the bank, we may also have to be responsible for interest payments while we try to work out the foreclosure situation. Do we have any terms at all?
I don't have the bond paperwork finalized yet, but those terms are included, Trustee Brown, and they have basically what the bond certificate looks like is, a percentage, which is in it's the percentage that we already have that in, and that actually was in the petition. And then the bond paperwork itself is pretty voluminous and covers that. My understanding is that yes, the bank is not going to forego interest payments while we're collecting.
So the bank will not forego interest payments.
I said that I don't know that because I haven't read
you
it.
don't know.
My understanding is that I would not expect them to. It's not typical for a bank to do that. But with the assessment process, that's why, we go through this. That's why this process is in place, because if we do, this is not like a private foreclosure. This goes to the treasurer and it's expedited. And so it's really not a long process. I've done quite a few of these in other jurisdictions. We might pay interest on the loan for, 2 to 3 months while we're finalizing foreclosure and sale.
So here's a potential scenario. And this is where it rolls over into the idea of a geotechnical or soil sample requirement. I have experience with buying a large piece of property, house, excavate in the middle of summer when it's dry, and 3 feet of water bubble up through a sand crack that costs us an extraordinary amount of money to get away from the house and so forth. We weren't smart enough at that time to even conceive of that. In the scenario where something happens on a property that could have been understood prior through some soil samples, for instance, and we don't do that, and then we back all that and find out that the property can't be sold or isn't as valuable as we think it may be, or it takes a lot of effort and time and cash to prepare it to be able to be sold, to fix those problems that we didn't know about initially. Therein lies the risk with not having maybe the necessary information we could have, and all I can go on is what's being recommended by our public work director. And in that sense, he's the expert on our side. And 2, not having a clear idea what the terms are and what would be required by the bank, whether it's a reserve surplus fund, whether it's collateral, whether we have to continue interest payments. We have a fiduciary responsibility on this side of the table to ensure that the town does not end up carrying liabilities on our balance sheet. Our cash flow isn't, unforeseenly strained. So, I've asked a couple times the past few weeks, if we get some information on the terms of a bond agreement. And don't get me wrong, I am all for developing. I'm all for progress. But it made the nature of my job. I work from the worst case scenario backwards and converge to the best solution.
Sure. And I agree with you. We're never going to mitigate all risk. I'm just going off of, common business dealings. When I'm talking about the bond structure, again, it's not just a, one-page document. But like I said, I think the way that that's mitigated, and again, I'm not arguing one way or the other, just the other side of that. And I have to think in worst case scenarios as well, is that if this is paid off or paid down, or if someone pays a lump sum or a partial lump sum, we're going to get ahead of the loan and the interest really quickly. If everybody paid the minimum amount, and this happened in the first month, that's a possibility, I suppose. But my understanding as well is that the soil samples have been taken at the build site. There might just not be soil samples along the utility track. And so I just want to make that clear as well. And again, I'm not presenting arguments for one side or the other. I'm just presenting all facts so that everybody has everything when making a decision. And so I know that there's at least some soil samples taken at the site and there was no issues up there. That's not to say that something could implode. But
is there a scenario where, I know we talked about the LLC in the past. I don't think that's, from what I can understand right now, that's not realistic. Is the SID itself able to carry an insurance policy that would cover both liability and possible loss of revenue should some unforeseen, problem come up?
is the SID able to insure the town?
Yeah, can they?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we could have an insurance policy that names the town as other insured to cover the bond.
Clay, I've got a question for you. In this worst case scenario of having to figure out what to do with one of these properties, can we sell it for that proposed market value, or can we hold on to it? What are the options of what we could actually do with that property?
So I mean, this is just very macro level, basic process, but the property, if somebody was not paying, that property owner could be identified, a lien would be set on the property, notice would be given, and then we would foreclose on the lien through the treasurer, not through private foreclosure. And then we would sell the property. The property itself would go to pay the debt plus the interest projected, and then any overages, we typically, unless we contracted with the owners, any overages in a foreclosure, for example, if somebody quits paying their mortgage and then you foreclose on their property and you sell it, they would get profit. They get to keep whatever they don't owe, minus the cost, minus the fees, minus projected interest. And so there are scenarios where if it was to make a profit, then we don't just get to pocket that, but we do get to keep all projected interest in our damages. And so there's no out-of-pocket expense to us.
But the treasurer would have to sell it. We wouldn't be able to hold it for future development for town's interest or something like that.
Well, I mean, it would be a lien, and then it would have to go to public sale.
It has
for
to.
foreclosure.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
we
you a
can't,
question?
we could bid on it, but we can't just take the property.
I see.
Can I add two questions onto that? If that property already has a mortgage on it and there's a default, how does the town foreclose on that, and who has priority?
We're first lien.
I'm sorry.
We're first lien.
Town is first one.
First lien, even if-
Government's first lien in that situation. So,
Okay.
so for an example, somebody quits paying and they owe like say they owe county taxes and they quit paying their mortgage and the county liens the property. Statute allows county to take their money first before it even goes to a first mortgage.
Okay. All right. Is there any statute in Colorado where there's a cap on what we are able to sell that property for in terms of the assessment plus?
Highest bidder,
What's that?
highest bidder at public
Okay.
auction.
Is it be an auction situation?
Okay.
Carl, you have anything?
I think that we're never going to get away from the conversation of the risks. And this is a conversation that we could bog ourselves down in forever. I'm really, really glad that there are some super thoughtful questions being asked. I think these are the right questions to ask. I'm of the mind that we move forward with the option one as presented by Attorney Buckner. And I'm not saying that to end the conversation right now. I think we should keep talking about this, but I just want to express where I'm at personally. Thank you.
Ron?
I want to make sure I understood this. If it goes into foreclosure, we have first right over the bank. Is that what you said, Clay?
Over a first mortgage.
We're over the first mortgage.
Yeah, and we'll be first in time as well. But even if because of the way the project is done, we'll be first in time over any mortgage because nothing's being built yet. So we'd win that way, but statutorily, we're treated very similar to a county tax in a lien situation. And so, county taxes and government gets paid first.
Thank you.
But I mean, in this, and we get it both ways here because we're first in time, but outside of the first in time rule, we get our lien before a mortgage.
Can I ask one more question? With, if it does, go to auction and there's proceeds, does all that money, any proceeds stay in a special assessment fund, or can that be redistributed back to the general fund for, general use?
It would have to go directly to our debt.
So all that stays at the.
We can't take money on this and put it into a general fund. We can't make money because the idea is that we pay our debts. We can pay fees and costs that are coming out of the general fund. So indirectly, general fund could be reimbursed for, say, anything I had to do, or if we had to put a contractor to do something, any fees or costs that the town has, that's technically coming out of, operating budget, and that can get repaid. But we can't take a profit and put it into a general fund as a profit. We can pay the debt, we can pay our fees and costs, we can pay projected interest. And then any overflow beyond that typically goes to the owner of the property.
So let me make sure I get this right. So say it's all theoretical, catastrophically 5 or 10 of the properties default, and we're able to sell them for a significant amount of money that pays off the bond, and there's a surplus. Where does that surplus go?
To the owners.
Okay.
That's just how liens, that's how it works. You can't lien a property for more money than is owed to you.
Thanks, Clay. Lindsay, you have anything?
I think similar to Carl, I feel like we've heard a lot about this process, and these are all really great questions. I'm like, maybe we should have done a work session in between. I know this was like time pressing, but then we could have dug into some more of these details before figuring out how to move forward. I know there's like a time constraint, but I tend to agree with Carl on the first option of being able to move forward with this project.
Thank you. I too agree, and I don't know if this is just being here from day one, seeing all sides. I'm leaning towards option one, simply because I feel it's the most that covers what we need, gets everyone moving forward. and also ensures that this 10% is built in. I am still interested and the thoughts are still going on about the whole need for geotech to come in and actually look at the land. It says here it would add another 1 to 2 weeks on the front end, on the middle, on the back end. What are the thoughts?
So it would add time on the front end. Yeah. And that's, that's an estimate of, the time that it would add on. And so we do have a short window, for the construction season. So there is the potential, if requiring that geotechnical analysis within the right of way, before amending, say if we're going with option one, amending the bid, with Animus, that would impact the feasibility of getting this project completed this building season.
It would impact.
There's the potential for it to impact because that window is short.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I would just like to also chime in and say that I like option one. I feel like it's path of least resistance. It makes sense to me, and adding this contingency, the difference in agreed upon contingency or whatever we need to feel comfortable to the Special Improvement District landowners. I think that kind of eases that concern. The bid is in budget, contractors bonded and insured. I feel like that, satisfies a lot of my concerns over the, excavation in the right of way that is a bit of a question out there. And just, to me, it seems like the most commonsensical way to just get this thing going and get moving forward and satisfy the most major concerns that we have. So, thanks.
And Elizabeth, going back, one question. If we required the geotechnical survey, entire area, we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks potentially, and it could throw this whole thing off for another season.
Potentially, yeah. So, again, just working with estimated timelines. So requiring that geotechnical analysis specifically of the right of way, by the time, taking the time to, find that company to do that, have the analysis done. Again, just since we're potentially butting up against, a very tight window, there's the potential for that to cause a significant delay in the project.
Thank you.
Personally, I would like to see the town protected. I just am concerned that the cost is going to overrun and citizens of Silverton are going to be stuck with that payment. I'd rather be safe and do the geotech analysis, which should help protect the town people from having to pay on overages.
I agree with Ron.
And so we're talking about like a concern that the excavation cost is gonna be greater than any budget amount in the contingency.
It's not the excavation cost, it's will the 10% cover the foreseen down the road if something happens? And this is where the overlay of the whole bond agreement comes in, which is what gives me a lot of hesitation. Because we don't know what we don't have a confirmation. We have a general idea, this is how things are done elsewhere. I don't know if anybody here has seen a piece of paper from the bank that describes the town's responsibility if it goes south. I would never move forward on my own piece of property until the bank gave me all the details of what I'm responsible for. Because they don't care, they're not gonna. They're gonna stand, they're gonna stay on the ground. If there was an insurance policy that was, held, that was, I don't know if that's even possible, that Clay thinks it may be. It was held to cover us in that sense. That changes the whole risk model right there.
I have a question.
And not to argue, is that I think that I can't see that Al wasn't being in on the speaker. That sounded like Dr. Brown. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
If that was
Yes.
Dr. Brown, I
Yes.
just wanted, yeah, and that is, his concerns are reasonable. But I will, one of the things we have to consider in this scenario is that we are capping our loss at the 1.3 plus the soft costs. Because the owners are agreeing to take on any extra cost beyond that. So if there's a crazy cost overrun, they're going to have to pay that out of pocket directly to the contractor, and the contractor is directly indemnifying us through the additional clause that we're proposing. That the SID owners are going to individually sign to take on any extra cost beyond the $1.3 million for the project. So the concern is reasonable, and that is correct, but this is not going to be there's no scenario where the project is going to cost more than what we contract for, and it's going to be a liability for the town. That the SID owners are directly indemnifying the town through the scenario and course of action number 1. That's something that I might not have made that clear, but that's something that we're not suggesting we going forward with course of action number 1 without that clause in the contract.
Because we've already set that ceiling.
That's right.
Correct.
So
And
it
if we
would,
bust that ceiling, they have to individually pay per the contract.
And this is, we're talking about a separate agreement outside of the assessed.
It'll be in our contract, but it'll be a clause in the contract that specifically delineates the SID owners are responsible. I have the language if you want me to read the entire thing. With that.
No, that's, no,
I think we're
okay, I
okay.
understand, yeah.
That is helpful though, Clay. Thank you.
Yep.
And just to make it clear for everybody that we've already voted on this several times in the past with previous boards, correct? For Clayton?
Oh, well, I mean, yes, I mean, we're here. We've passed the petition. We've already voted for the $1.5 million cap. We sent it to vote. It passed. We passed the enabling ordinance. We've done everything, but we passed the bid proposal. We've done everything but for except the current bid. Granted, it had issues, but that's why the staff came up with multiple courses of action for you.
That's why we have these discussions. Well, I think we're at this point in the conversation where I think we know the points, the sticking points. I think we're confident on some, we're less confident on others. And this requires either staff recommendation or just a straight motion, correct? Am I
Correct.
saying that? Okay.
So, suggested motions would be to motion to, and then to direct staff to, or motion to direct staff to negotiate under number 1, to direct staff to go back for an amendment under number 2, or direct staff to go back for a complete open back up for a request for bids under number 3. And then we bring back, we go back and negotiate, for example, under number 1. And if we could come up with the contract, we'd be bringing the contract back for you at the next, as soon as possible. It would be, we have the contractor to deal with, and so we can't guarantee a timeline. But if they were amenable to our counterpoints and discussions and negotiation elements, which would be, the things that we've already discussed and that I brought up, then we could be back to you as soon as they were ready to accept a contract.
I motion to direct staff to negotiate on option 1 to amend the Animas Excavations bid.
Second.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Can you please, it'd help for us to have the cap, our negotiation cap. Is that going to be the negotiating cap presented at the $1.311 million? If you would include that in the motion, that would be helpful.
1.31138.
Public comments were at the beginning of the meeting and will be again at the end of the meeting.
I'm hoping to get a public comment in on behalf of my client who owns property beneath the SID. And I was under the impression that there would be no vote tonight, and I understand now that there might be. So if I could be heard, I'd really appreciate it.
If you can hold your comment till the end.
But it's
We already had public comment at the beginning of the meeting, which we open it up to the public, both here in person and online. And we'll do the same thing at the end of the meeting.
my comments go to this motion and asking for your consideration of my client's point of view.
Does anyone object?
I don't object.
Okay,
Thank you.
minutes.
Appreciate it. I'm Michael Hoffman. I'm a lawyer living these days in Montrose, Colorado. I represent Sandra Campuzano, who owns property at 746 Snowden Street. I was retained on Friday, and I'm very much at this point in the fact-finding mode. Ms. Campuzano is very concerned about the safety and potential threat to her property from this project. To that end, I submitted a CORA request to the town seeking information on the 8th and Bluff Special Improvement District. The town administrator acknowledged receipt of that, and I look forward to working with her and John in getting a better understanding. She's very concerned, as is her family. And we think that option number 3, as stated in the staff memo, meaning a geotechnical investigation, makes a lot of sense here. That would advance Ms. Campuzano's interest in protecting her property. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have a motion on the table.
Motion language one. Just real quick.
And the number is 1.311358.
Can you repeat
Can you-
how I'm
Sorry,
supposed to
the
say
cap,
this?
I would just ask you repeat the motion exactly as you presented it. I think that's trustee Brosh. I can't see everything directly. With the cap of construction costs being $1,311,358.
Okay.
A motion to direct staff to negotiate on option 1 to amend Animus Excavations bid based on these points and not with the total construction cost caps not to exceed $1.311358 million.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second.
Trustee Brosh,
Yes.
trustee Brown,
No.
trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Schiffern,
Yes.
Mayor Harper.
Yes. Motion passes. All right. Thank you very much. All right, we will now open up again for public comment. Same rules apply. At the beginning of the meeting, you each have 3 minutes, and please state your name. If anyone in person has a comment, please do so now. Seeing no comments in the audience, we're going online. Seeing no one there, perfect. Closing public comment. I'd like to thank everyone for this conversation this evening, for this discussion. Been a long time coming. We will be back in about 40 minutes for part 2 of tonight's meeting. This time a joint town-county discussion regarding the Silverton Housing Authority. Seeing no comments at all, having no comments up here, I will close the meeting. It is 5:50 p.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you for pointing out the comma was in that. I was really tripping out with that. I was like, man, am I totally like wrong about this whole thing? Did I miss something important? Yeah. Just a typo. Oh, okay.